You're listening to Interest Fest on Utter Radio.
Hello and welcome to Interest Fest here on Utter Radio, where every episode is made up of different interests that you have voted for over the past week. Remember, if you'd like to get your interest talked about on the show, then email us at interestfest@utterradio.co.uk, or you can give us a call on 0161 295 0185. That's 0161 295 0185. And you can also tweet us at InterestFest. I'm MJ.
And I'm Cindy. Coming up on today's show, we explore the movie and theatre industry in the entertainment section. And later on in the programme, we'll be taking a call-in for our ultimate sports quiz, as well as climbing in the sports segment. Interest Fest. Some amazing movies have come out in the last few months. DC's Wonder Woman, Dunkirk, Marvel's Thor, and Get Out. But one film has made quite the kerfuffle in the movies industry, Blade Runner 2049. The sequel to the original has left their audience bewildered. It's a neo-noir science fiction film directed by Denis Villeneuve. His past work included 2009 award-winning Polytechnique and 2016's Arrival. The film is set 30 years after the original, following the life of the Blade Runner K, starring the charming Ryan Gosling, after his discovery of a long-buried secret leads him to track down the former Blade Runner, Rick Deckard, starring no other than Harrison Ford. In the studio with me, we have Dr. Anthony Smith, professor at the University of Salford, to discuss his thought on the new Blade Runner.
The new Blade Runner is a replicant, you find that out in the beginning, but he thinks he might be special, he might be the chosen one. And but actually it turns out that he's not special at all, he was misguided, and he's just another replicant. But at the end of the film, he still does a selfless thing and helps a man reunite with his daughter, I say vaguely. And I thought that story was really quite moving. And a lot of the film was just focused on this replicant played by Ryan Gosling. You know, I thought it was quite artistically done, watching this character trying to think, you know, am I living? Is this life? What am I? You know, I think the film did that well. At the end of the film, it all gets very plotty, and Harrison Ford comes back, and there's a kind of avalanche of action, which all feels a bit messy and underwritten. But in the main, I thought it was quite a strong story.
Right, so you were saying that the fans of the original will like this movie. How about the new audiences? Because it's 35 years after the original. Of course, there'll be like a new audiences and new target group. Is it off-putting for the new audience to not know about the prior universe?
Well, from what I understand of the film's box office performance, which has been weak among younger people, teenagers and people in their 20s, and also my own anecdotal evidence from talking to my students. I spoke to students about the film. They were aware that the film was coming out, but I hadn't spoke to a single student who had seen the original Blade Runner film, and then they felt no enthusiasm or no interest in watching the sequel, having not seen the first. And I do think that sadly for the film, it's not like a film. Blade Runner isn't a film like Star Wars. Many kids of different generations have grown up watching. Blade Runner is a film from its time. I think the film studio underestimated how familiar that film would be to young people, and I think that it was very risky of them to do a straight sequel that just follows on from the original film. They might have thought it might have been less risky to make, say, a reboot where you didn't need to see the original film. And I think that's why it's failed to connect with younger audiences, because a lot of audiences just aren't familiar with that first film. I mean, they might know the name, but they haven't seen it.
Right. So, in a critic's point of view, what do you think it could be improved?
The writing at the end of the film, it just felt a bit rushed and not really well thought out. Such a carefully made production, and there was so much passion that had gone into it. It just felt that the screenplay could have taken a few more passes just to make it seem a bit more sophisticated.
Thank you very much to Dr. Smith for a very interesting point of view.
You're listening to Interest Fest on Utter Radio.
Now, we're moving on to the theatre side of the entertainment industry. We're going to take a look at two very new and exciting musicals, Elf and The Addams Family. The Addams Family musical has been running on stage since 2009 in Chicago, and after its trial period, it moved to the Broadway stage in 2010. The musical then premiered in the UK during 2017, and it gained so much positive reception that it embarked on a UK-wide tour for the rest of the year. The production starred Les Dennis as Uncle Fester, Carrie Hope Fletcher as Wednesday, and Samantha Womack as Morticia, and featured songs written by Andrew Lippert such as When You're an Addams, Crazier Than You, and Pulled. The entire show isn't based upon the movies like many believe, but it's in fact based upon the Addams Family characters that were created by Charles Addams in his single-panel gag cartoons. Carrie Hope Fletcher talked to us about her role of Wednesday Addams.
Wednesday's bonkers. That's one of the best ways to describe her. She is very dark, and this is the kind of Wednesday that you've never seen before because she's grown up. In the original, like in the movies and the 60s TV show, she's about 11, 12 years old. In fact, I think in the 60s series she's about 8.
Right.
She's very young, but now she's 18 and she's fallen in love. And Wednesday's crazy at the best of times, but when she's now in love and hormones are going absolutely crazy, she's you need to give Wednesday a wide berth. Yeah, especially when she's got a crossbow in her hands. Yeah. You never know what's going to happen.
No.
Now, moving on to Elf the Musical, which is based on the beloved 2003 hit Christmas movie starring Will Ferrell. Elf is the hilarious tale of Buddy, a young orphaned boy who mistakenly crawls into Santa's enormous bag of gifts and is transported back to the North Pole, unaware of the fact that he is a human. The musical starred in the West End during 2015 and went on tour to the Theatre Royal in Plymouth and then to the Lowry Theatre in Salford from 24th of November 2017, and it's running until the 14th of January 2018, with the original West End cast reviving their roles. We talked to Ben Forster, who plays the lead role Buddy the Elf, and his thoughts and experience.
I'm Ben Forster, and I'm currently playing Buddy in Elf the Musical. It's different enough from the movie to be fresh and exciting and new, but it's very funny, it's got lots of heart, it's kind of one of those beautiful, magical Christmas pieces that everyone should come and see to get in the Christmas mood, I think. I think mainly it's because it's about a big kid, and actually Christmas is mainly just about children and about watching your nieces or your nephews or your kids have an amazing time, and actually watching the movie or watching the musical, you're watching Buddy kind of go through the same journey, and it's just about the innocence of a childlike mind at Christmas time. I think that's what kind of makes it special. I think it's just the magic of musicals and theatre generally is just live performance. It's about going and being soaked into an atmosphere in an auditorium and, pulled into a story, and, it either makes you laugh or cry and all those amazing emotions, and it's about just escaping life, really. So I think it's an always exciting time of year. I think it's kind of one of those traditions that are now built into the kind of West End community. We kind of wait for the What's on Stage nominations and see who's been most popular with the public, which is obviously the most important thing.
Still to come on today's show, we will be taking a call-in for our Ultimate Sports Quiz, as well as climbing in the sports segment. The number to call in if you would like to take a part in our quiz is 0161 295 0187. That's 0161 295 0187. See you after the break.
Interest Fest.
Come on down to Jim's Climbing Centre in Manchester. We've got all the walls you need, all the grades, all the chalk, all the tea and cake. Don't miss out, come down to Jim's today. I love climbing, me.
Come down to Salford Quays this Friday for the first ever Media City UK Grand National. Watch as 30 media executives race each other along the dock on hobby horses, trying to avoid jumping over Jeremy Kyle and to get to the finish line outside the Coronation Street studios. Make sure to book your tickets today. Tickets subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply. See website for full details. This does not affect your statutory rights and is all paid for by the Peel Group UK.
The cast of Elf the Musical invites you to join them at the Lowry Theatre this Christmas for an adventure with Buddy the Enormous Elf. Starring Ben Forster as Buddy alongside Liz McLaren as Jovi. Show will be running from 28th November to 14th of January. Tickets are going fast. Book it now on the Lowry website and help Buddy spread their Christmas cheer.
Oh, how's it going, mate? Are you like me? Do you love surfing but feel guilty because your flat is a tip and desperately needs a tidy up? I've just the solution for you. With the Board Brush 3000, you simply flood your kitchen, get your flatmates to make some gnarly waves, and ride around cleaning to your heart's content. Perfect for us Aussie exchange students. What are you waiting for? Surf's up, mate.
News.
This is Utter Radio News. Students in England are to be offered 2-year degrees with a £5,500 saving in tuition fees, says the university's Minister Joe Johnson. Undergraduate courses will be condensed into accelerated degrees, with fees 20% less than a 3-year course. The Office for Fair Access says the plan could help to widen opportunities. UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson will meet Iran's President Hassan Rouhani on a second day of talks in the country. He will continue to press for the release of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, who has been held since April 2016 on charges of spying, which she denies. Richard Ratcliffe, who has been campaigning for his wife's release, had this to say.
The message I gave to Boris Johnson was to make it really clear that Nazanin is a British citizen and that she needs to be home with her family.
More snow is hitting the UK with an amber weather warning issued across large parts of the country. The Met Office says there will be heavy snow across Wales, the Midlands and Northern England, and is warning that rural areas could become cut off. It predicts around 10 centimetres of snow will fall, with up to 20 centimetres falling on higher ground. Warnings are also in place for snow in Scotland and Northern Ireland and for high winds in the south. Devastating wildfires fueled by climate change are the new normal, California's Governor Jerry Brown has said.
We're facing a new reality in the state where fires threaten people's lives, their property, their neighborhoods, and of course, billions and billions of dollars.
The largest wildfire, known as the Thomas Fire, burned close to 150,000 acres, an area of land roughly the size of Chicago. 6 large wildfires and some smaller blazes erupted on Monday night in Southern California. Fanned by high winds, they swept through tens of thousands of acres in a matter of hours. And finally, singer Chris Rea is said to be in a stable condition after collapsing during a performance. Fans posted on Twitter after they saw the 66-year-old fall backwards on stage at the New Theatre Oxford last night. Rea, who is known for his hits Driving Home for Christmas and Road to Hell, is on tour to promote his new album. That's the Utter Radio News. I'm Dan McCaffrey.
Interest Fest.
So, now it's the time that you've all been waiting for. It's the Interest Fest Sports Quiz. And this week the quiz requires our contestant general knowledge about sporting. So, we have a caller on line 1 ready for our quiz. Who are you and where are you from?
Hi, my name's Sarah and I'm from Scotland.
So, Sarah, how are you feeling about the quiz today?
A little bit nervous. I've never done like a quiz on radio before, so...
Oh, you'll be fine. It's not as scary as people think it is. Right, so are you ready for your first question?
Yeah, go for it.
Brilliant. What event is not part of the modern pentathlon? Is it A, the 200-metre freestyle swimming? Is it B, dressage? Is it C, the 3,200-metre cross-country running? Or is it D, fencing?
D?
No, sorry.
Did you say B, dressing?
Yeah, it is. It's the dressage. So close.
Right. Next question should be easy. What is the oldest tennis tournament in the world? Is it A, Wimbledon Championship, B, US Open, C, Australian Open, or D, French Open?
A, Wimbledon.
Yay!
That is correct. Congratulations.
So, your third question. Which 1936 Olympian won 4 gold medals in the long jump and running events? Was it A, Tilly Fleischer? Was it B, Marjorie Gestring? Was it C, Nam Sung Yong? Or was it D, Jesse Owens?
D.
Yay! Hey, you're on a roll now, Sarah.
Yes. Right. The next question is, in karate, what color belt comes after the orange one? Is it A, white, B, blue, C, green, or D, green with the blue stripe?
D, green with the blue stripe.
Oh,
no.
Sorry, Sarah.
It was C, green.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the next question. How long is a rugby game? Is it A, 60 minutes, B, 70 minutes, is it C, 80 minutes, or is it D, 90 minutes?
Probably go for C, 80. Yay!
Well done! Brilliant.
Next question. How many fences are there in the Aintree Grand National? Is it A, 35 fences over 2 laps, B, 25 fences over 2 laps, C, 20 fences over 2 laps, or D, 30 fences over 2 laps?
I think I'll say D, 30 fences.
That is correct!
Yay!
You're on the roll again.
Your next question is, how many players are there in an ice hockey team? Are there A, 12 players, B, 6 players, C, 15 players, or is it D, 4 players?
C, 15. Oh.
No, it was in fact B. There was only 6 players in an ice hockey team.
Oh, didn't know that.
Right. Next question. What makes a canoe different from a kayak? Is it A, you need a license to paddle it? B, can't be used in white water? C, is made of wood and only for 2 people? Or D, kayak paddles are single-bladed, whereas canoe paddles are double-bladed. Sorry.
I'm going to go for C. Oh.
Sorry.
Oh,
The
no.
correct answer is the kayak paddle are single-bladed, whereas canoe paddles are double-bladed.
Well, well done, Sarah. You did quite well in that quiz, considering it was just general
Thank
knowledge.
you.
Thank you very much for playing along.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye. Interest first. So last up, we are all learning about the sports of climbing. So to get to grips, we have sent out our correspondent, Dan McCaffrey, to Rockover Climbing Centre in Manchester to talk to an instructor, Sean Grommell, about the basics.
What are the main different types of climbing?
Well, climbing has various different disciplines, really. A lot of people tend to specialise. Not a lot of people tend to do all of them, but the main types are, you got sport climbing, which is you're climbing with a rope and protection that somebody's drilled into the wall. Traditional climbing, which is the first type of climbing, so you're putting your own natural protection to climb a rock. You've got bouldering, which is a discipline in of itself. You're just climbing sort of low-level routes. You're putting in your own mats at the bottom, and it's more of a strenuous activity, really. You're just trying to perform the hardest moves that you possibly can in order to get up. And then there's alpinism, which is something completely different, really, which is the aim of that is just to get to the highest mountainous regions, really, like things in the Alps, things in the Himalayas.
How did you get into the sport?
Well, you could say that I've always sort of been hiking and things. My dad always took me up Munros and things in Scotland, but I only really got into climbing itself in university. I've been trying to get into sport climbing for a while, but it's quite a closed community. It's almost like an even number type. Like if you go bouldering, you go as like a 2 or you go as a 3. So if you don't find someone from the beginning to go sport climbing with, then it's difficult to get in somebody else's circle. So you have to start from a beginning somewhere, and university was a good place to start.
How dangerous is climbing as a sport?
It could be as dangerous or as safe as you want it to be, really. It's up to you how much you want to push your limits. There is a lot of safety aspects involved where it's purely a mental game. If you're sport climbing outside, for example, you have a lot of protection underneath you, so if you do fall, that is going to catch you. You can make it as unsafe as you're willing to go, really, and that's how the grades are assessed, especially in traditional alpinism. In traditional climbing, then, the harder the grades get, the more strenuous it will become and the more risk there is of getting injured.
So what's the scariest or most dangerous thing that's ever happened to you while you've been out climbing?
Well, there's been a lot. I've seen a lot of people get injured over the past year or so, but not a lot have happened to me in particular. But the only thing I can think of is recently I was in the Alps. What happens is, because there's all these glaciers, all this water, it freezes over, and as it's freezing, it's expanding, and this dislodges lots of rock as soon as that starts melting. So if you go at the wrong time of the year, you could be like dodging boulders the size of fridges, really, just rolling down the hill at you. So I was abseiling off a route, and when you're abseiling, you're stuck on a rope in a certain direction, and this boulder just came out of nowhere coming at me.
Well,
I just had to ab off the end of the rope and just jump off and hope for the best.
So how would I go about getting involved in climbing if I wanted to?
It's becoming increasingly more popular as the years progress. Different centres have been popping up all around the country, bouldering centres, sport climbing centres. So your best bet is just do some research, really. Find out where your local bouldering or sport climbing centre is, and they usually have courses there.
Well, thank you very much, Sean.
No worries.
Interest first. So there we have it, all you need to know about the Blade Runner 2049 blockbuster movie, a perception into the world of theatre and an introduction and insight to the complicated world of climbing.
If you'd like to know more about what we've discussed on the show today, you can visit our website for more information on how to get involved at utterradio.co.uk/InterestFest. That's all from me, MJ.
And me, Cindy. See you next time on Interest Fest. Interest Fest.